The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, co-host extraordinaire, flounder to my Sebastian, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing great this week, Garrett.
What's got you in such good spirits? Can't possibly be the album.
Nothing to do with this, Garrett. I did a bit of internet sleuthing, and I discovered, as I'm sure you already know, that the goons from Columbia House ubiquitously love Halloween, and more importantly, they love Halloween spook houses, sometimes colloquially known as haunted houses some places. You knew this, right?
Most places. All places. Yeah, of course. We all know that, Tim.
Oh, well, they came back to collect their money, and I, as Garrett Harvey, told them, of course I have their more than $11,000 at this point. But before I give them the money, I have built a Halloween spook house that, if they would like, they can see. And, obviously they said yes. How could they not? Columbia House goons are notoriously crazy for spook houses. So I drove them over to the old Why I Hate This Album world headquarters and recording studios. I told them I had decorated the place with over 50 fake decomposing corpses to scare visitors. It's a spook house after all, and I sprayed a bunch of corpse scent in the halls and sound booth and whatnot to make it really realistic. And, they're in there, they're marveling at how realistic everything looks and, smells. And I led them into some bear traps that I borrowed from friend of the show, Michael Shannon. And I've just sort of been doing a Saw type thing with them all week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, here's the thing though, Garrett. They really love spook houses. They're really getting into it. We're having a lot of fun. They love getting into character as people that are trapped in a death house that will, definitely be their final resting place for the thrashing they gave me on your behalf. The point is, they're having fun and I'm having fun, and it's all in service of Halloween.
Couldn't think of a better segue, Tim, to say welcome everyone to week 2 of our Halloween Scaretacular Spookstravaganza. That time of year every year where we focus on the scarier, the creepier, the ghoulier, the timmier of things. That dark side that we all dare not speak of. And Tim, it sounds like you're off to a great start. You've got yourself, 4 or 5 grown men trapped inside of a building, a spook house as you call it, a murder house as the rest of us, and ultimately the news will know of it. You must be having a great time.
I am.
Well, tell me, Tim, in the midst of all of this sawing of people,
well, that makes it sound like I'm sawing people. I'm doing a Saw, like the movie Saw.
Do you want to play a game?
Yeah, but I'm not putting on all that affect. Well, I am, but it's a completely different affectation. It's more Tim related.
Interesting. I don't want to put you on the spot, and so feel free to say no, because certainly I don't want to enter your game. But I'm curious, as a participant, as a Columbia House representative who has come to collect money from me, but since you were posing as me, they savagely beat you. Those people, if I was one of them trapped in your quote-unquote spook house, never heard anyone say that ever, who would I be meeting?
Garrett, I'm going to be really honest with you. It's almost exactly like that first Saw movie. I'm sorry.
You know why I asked him? 2 reasons. 1, I think it's important that you be honest, and I know you were fucking lying. And 2, I helped you work on the pig mask, so,
Yeah. And I'll be honest, it was nice of you to not even question what that was for. I put it on the dogs. They had a great time.
They did.
It was made mostly of real pig, so it probably had something to do with it. But
no, they ate a good portion of those first 2 masks. But anyway, that's not why we're here, Tim. In the midst of all this joy, fun, and presumably murder, I have to ask, what album have you been listening to for the entire week as the soundtrack to your escapades?
Well, Garrett, I have been listening to the Robert Zombie, the Bobby Z album, Hellbilly Deluxe 2, Noble Jackals, Penny Dreadfuls, and the Systematic Dehumanization of Cool, released in the spooky month of February in the spooky year of 2010. This is, of course, the sequel album to the Bobby Z album, Hellbilly Deluxe 1, 13 Tales of Cadaverous Cavorting Inside the Spook Show International, from our celebrated classic 2018 run of spooktacular Halloween episodes.
Boy, that was the inaugural taped Halloween Spooktacular.
Yes, of course, we've been doing this for nigh on 13 years now.
Right. It's just the first time we've let you, the listener, and we don't know, hey, some of you are viewers, find the feed, into our world. So, Tim, I have to ask, after an entire week listening to the sequel nobody asked for, do you hate this album?
No with a but.
A big hairy one? Or a...
Don't be very juvenile
Yeah,
here, Garrett.
we're better than that.
Yeah.
We are better than that.
This is less fun than I remember our first Hellbilly Deluxe outing featuring Dragula being. And I
Dragula!
think that I actually got there in 2018. And this is a worse album in basically every measure. So I assume that I will reach the dizzying, electrifying, almost animalistic peaks of hate this week as well. This is a boring album, Garrett. This is a dumb album. This is a pointless album. It's a sequel, like you said, that no one asked for. True. But not yet. I'm going to reserve that for the end, for the climax of the episode.
Okay, wow. You're going to be a handful today, I can tell. I just want to point out that all of the things you just said are before you declare your hate for it. That was you still not hating it, right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
And honestly, I might just be in a good mood, Garrett. I've been spending some time in the old lab, Garrett. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Garrett, do you hate this album?
Boy, it's hard for me to even answer. I have so many questions about the things you're doing to those poor men who think they're in the middle of a joyous game.
I'm setting them free.
Oh, well,
I'm setting one of them free. Gonna have to eat his friends
with a full belly. Oh, how did I know? It always ends with that with you. And anyway, do I hate this album? No.
We're gonna get you there.
It won't be. I don't think it's going to be hard. Unfortunately, 2018 was so long ago. So many albums ago. We were so young. We thought we knew what bad was.
That's true, but this is also significantly worse than that other album.
No one will ever argue otherwise. That's very true. It's a lesser in all forms, title included, Tim. For a man who likes jackassery and incredibly long titles, this one just doesn't cut the mustard. You've said it to me no less than 25 times, and I couldn't tell you a single word in it.
Oh, yeah, Garrett, I had it tattooed on the palm of my hand because I cannot remember anything past Hellbilly Deluxe. The next word is 2. I know it's a sequel. I should be able to remember 2.
But you can't.
Nope.
So, do I hate it? No, I don't hate it. Is it possible I could get there? Absolutely. But I am sad for us because this is an excellent data point to show that this show has lowered our standards.
That's true. Yeah.
Well,
we've raised our standards too, right? Because I'm not willing to give out that trophy, Garrett, the trophy of hate for just anything. You really have to. I mean, if you've got a Dragula on your album, I'm probably not going to hate that album today.
That's a good way to put it, Tim, because either way, love it or hate it, just getting that WIHTA bump is going to make a massive difference to the album sales. Not to mention, you do such a great job, and God, I hate to compliment you. I might throw up, but you do such a great job of reaching out to these artists, confirming that you've got the right facts, and making sure that they feel comfortable with the things we're about to say about them.
Oh, yeah. And I will say this, The Game's grandmother, the one that named him The Game after the 1997 Fincher movie, The Game, she was a terrifying lady.
Interesting.
Yeah, really made me uncomfortable. She owned the room in a way that I was expecting to, and it just threw me off my game.
Yeah, as a 90-plus-year-old woman, she should not have had so much power in a one-on-one conversation.
I did not ask her age.
Sure, but common sense and such.
Yeah, he's like 53, so.
Yeah, it just stands to reason, Grandma. Sure. Any hoozle. Tim, we both don't hate it just yet, but I'm curious, prior to this week, I know you had taken a ride in Bobby Z's Dragula, but I am very curious, have you ever met his weird cousin, Hellbilly Deluxe 2?
Well, of course not, Garrett. I have never heard anything from this album. I'm obviously familiar with the first Hellbilly Deluxe album. I did own a copy of the White Zombie album, Astro Creep: 2000 - Songs of Love, Destruction, and Other Synthetic Delusions of the Electric Head. And I want to say I don't care for his refusal to use the Oxford comma. Also, I remember somebody in my 7th or maybe 8th grade math class being sent to the principal's office after playing the song More Human Than Human in class. That song begins with some pretty prominent moaning, and the teacher was apparently not mature enough to handle a simulated female orgasm, and so he went right to the principal. But other than that, I really don't have too much history with Mr. Zombie. I've seen, a couple of his films. He's also a filmmaker, Flims.
That's right. But, as we'll learn, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I've never heard anything from this album, and there's a reason for that. These are forgettable songs. What about you, friend?
Yeah, pretty same boat. I have not heard of this album till we started doing the research to add it to the Scaretacular. Makes me wonder, Tim, Tim, are we already scraping the bottom of the barrel? What lies before us in next year's Scaretacular? Are we going to run out of albums to deal with?
No. We may run out of singles because we're scraping the bottom of the barrel there, but albums, no.
Fair enough. So yeah, I'd never heard this before. It is inferior in every single way. So it stands to reason nobody this week will have heard this album, and that's okay because we're going to read plenty of lyrics, and most of the songs are very short, and they're all wacko. So
yeah, and actually, this week we've assembled the interns into a band, and instead of playing music from the actual album, the band and I will be performing as true to form as possible, about 5 to 10 second snippets of these songs, after which I will begin, speaking over them. This is going to be a little weird, but we're going to do this live in studio today.
Good Lord. I am not looking forward to, nor was I made aware of, the fact that this was going to happen. Did I hear you rehearsing? Yes. Am I certain we're going to leave it in? Absolutely not. It sounds like Tim. I don't want to be hurtful.
Here's the thing. I think we're going to get it real good. I believe that we are going to sound so much like this album, or possibly no one will have heard this album, so that we can all pretend you won't even be able to tell.
All right. We'll see. Agree to disagree. Okay. That's my history. That's your history. Before we can talk about this weird album, we need to understand a little bit about the man who made it and how it came to be. So Tim, take us on a journey. Help us understand who is young Bobbert Zombie, and did he ever get the idea to make a sequel to the beloved Hellbilly Deluxe?
Well, Robert Bartlett Cummings, Bobby Z, the future Mr. Zombie, was born to the prestigious Massachusetts zombie family. They can, of course, trace their roots way back to that Roanoke colony that mysteriously and spookily disappeared in 1590. He, however, was born January 12th, 1965 in Haverhill, Massachusetts, which I think is near Boston. I don't really know. But he's the eldest son of Bob and Louise Zombie, the older brother of Michael David Cummings Zombie, aka Spider-One, lead singer of Powerman 5000. Now, as a child, Bobby Z was very interested in horror films. He idolized Bela Lugosi, Steven Spielberg, Alice Cooper, and Stan Lee, and those were kind of the people he started modeling himself after, so he was more interested in film up front. And as we all know, his parents, of course, worked at a carnival. It's unclear exactly what their jobs at the carnival were. I assume spooky clowns.
Wait a minute. Before you get there, I hope this is right, and if it's wrong, all the better. Are you about to tell us about a savage hammer beating?
One day at the carnival, a riot broke out.
The Halloween season.
A riot broke out, and allegedly with Bobby Z in attendance, he said, "Everyone's pulling out guns. You could hear guns going off." I remember this one guy we knew. He was telling us where to go, and some guy just ran up to him and hit him in the face with a hammer. His face busted just wide open. My parents packed up real quick, and we took off. And they stopped working at the carnival after that, presumably got jobs in the food service industry or coding or something, but just not carnies, clearly.
Right. How do you move, Tim? I gotta say, we live in the home of the free, land of the brave, but upward mobility for carnies is tough.
Well, I think it's like the guys at your Texas de Brazil, the Gauchos.
Okay.
You're doing basically the same job, but with very minor changes. So, like with the Gauchos, you're still wearing the same silly pants, you're still wearing the same boots, you're still, waiting tables, but the type of meat you have is different.
What?
Right. So
how does that have anything to do with carnies?
Oh, so they're all the same, filth people, but they have very slight. So I apologize. That's not fair. They're all the same. Have approximately, from an outsider's point of view, the same job.
Feel free to say it, Tim. Cast. I think we're learning a lot about Tim this week, folks. You trap a half a dozen men inside of an airtight maze you've constructed for their demise, and suddenly Tim's highfalutin. Maybe I should remind somebody that they don't technically have a bank account. You have a bank card for the show's account.
Right, which has more money than my bank account would have in it. I feel like that's upward mobility right there. The point is, there's very subtle differences within the carny hierarchy that, as an outsider, you might not appreciate. It's like the meats, right?
Oh, okay, hold on. Let's pause there. Yes, I understand that there's upward mobility within the carny community, but Tim, I'm talking about how do you cross that membrane? Move from reviled, and let's face it, folks, we're not here to mince words. Let's get honest. Reviled, feared, ignored, carny community zombie, how do you get out of that world and into a stable, acknowledged existence as a human being?
Shave and shower is your first option. Then you want to get a job and a bank account. I mean, basically, it's...
But where do you get that job? That's what I'm saying. If you put a carny resume... we're going to get mean here.
Garrett, you can stop right there. I don't know because I'm actually in the same situation right now.
You have no marketable skills.
No, and to be honest, according to the government, I don't even really exist.
More on that later, folks. I hope. Okay, boy, listeners, write in hatePodMail@gmail.com. What does a carny resume look like? The more detailed, the better. Special skills, especially. Wow, that's a great idea. Or just HatePod on Instagram, album HatePod on Twitter. I think our listeners could do a great job assembling a fictitious carny resume. All right, Tim, continue.
Well, try to keep in mind this carnival hammer beating as I go through the rest of the history, because that's as interesting as it's going to get. This guy, despite the name and the beard and the love of old campy horror movies, he's just basically a normal guy, right?
Yeah, he's a regular dude.
Now, in 1982, Bobby became an ethical vegan after viewing slaughterhouse footage, which admittedly is probably pretty gross, but it's also a weird reason to make a decision like that, right? Like, if you needed knee surgery, you shouldn't decide whether or not to get it based on gross videos of knee surgery.
Sure. Also, you could eat sustainably sourced meats.
You shouldn't hate babies based on watching vaginal birth videos.
Oh, yeah, that is the worst way to decide to have a child.
Yes.
All right, I've been trying to decide whether or not to have a baby, and I've been watching hours of episiotomy footage.
Yeah. The point is that in 1983, Bobby Z graduated from high school and moved to New York City to go to art school, where he met future White Zombie accomplice Sean Yseult, and was a production assistant for Pee-wee's Playhouse. I assume he looked exactly the way he did while he was doing that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, probably.
Bobby and Sean, who is a lady, dated for a while, started the band White Zombie, named after the Bela Lugosi film White Zombie, and Bob changed his name to Bob Straker, possibly after the Jamaican star of the original London production of Hair, Peter Straker. Now, White Zombie did not have immediate success. They released a few EPs, maybe 3 EPs, then the LP Soul Crusher in 1987, then Make Them Die Slowly in 1989. Then Bobby and Sean broke up in 91, and he started dating cartoon voiceover and MTV VJ aspiring lady Sherry Moon. Luckily, Bobby and Sean realized, like Jack and Meg, the world needed the music of White Zombie. Whether they wanted to be together or not, they had to continue as a band.
I've never noticed the weirdly similar parallels with two bands that begin with white.
I don't think there's that many parallels. They were signed to Geffen after releasing a 4th EP, then Geffen released their 3rd LP, La Sexorcisto, Devil Music Volume 1, which took a year to get on the Billboard charts but would eventually sell more than 2 million copies in the US. Then they released Astro Creep 2000, Songs of Love, Destruction, and Other Synthetic Delusions of the Electric Head in 95. That also sold over 2 million copies in the US. It was
why didn't we do that album?
Garrett, no.
Everyone knows that album. I know that album.
I know. We'll get to it.
What, Tim?
I
am legitimately furious right now.
We can scrap this and start there.
No, we cannot. Oh my God. Oh my God. Of course.
We'll do it next week. You want to do it next week?
This whole time, I'm like, I really thought there was more White Zombie I knew, but I guess it was the Dragula thing. Let's move on about it. No, that's the one I barely knew.
Yeah. We can do it next week because we've already got this history done. We just plug and dump.
I am legitimate. Well, we can't. We've already got a schedule with dependencies.
Yeah, we'll just do this album next week, and then we'll do the other thing the week after. It doesn't matter, Garrett. In 1996, Bobby C officially became Bobby Z when he legally changed his name to Rob Zombie. White Zombie did a remix album after that, but they were pretty much done as a band. And then that's something that's sort of a motif for Bob. He loves to do remix and compilation albums, but then Bobby did a collabo with Alice Cooper for a song for the album Songs in the Key of X, music from and inspired by the X-Files, before starting work on his first solo album, which I suspect is just an excuse to basically do White Zombie, but without Sean.
Yeah, it's a way to do White Zombie without paying his ex-wife.
Yep. Hellbilly
Classic.
Deluxe, 13 Tales of Cadaverous Cavorting Inside the Spook Show International was released in 1998 and was pretty successful. It sold more than 3 million copies in the US alone, and the title of that is of course a play on the 1987 Cowboy album, Dwight Yoakam, Hellbilly Deluxe, 10 Tales of Cowboy Cavorting Inside the Rodeo Show Local, and also kind of as a fun little side note to this whole thing, Tommy Lee played drums on 2 of those songs because, Garrett, he was currently having some legal and personal struggles and was living in the studio at the time. So he was just there.
Hey, bro. Hey, don't tell anyone, and I'll play on your album. You don't have to give me any money. I really can't, I can't leave here.
Yeah, don't tell anyone where I am.
If you do I sleep in the engineering room. If you don't tell anyone, I'm really good at drumming.
Yeah, he's got
really good at
a Phantom of the Opera thing happening.
He's not haunting the studio, Tim.
Neither was the Phantom of the Opera, Garrett. He's hiding in the studio, so no one knows he's there. He just sort of pops up spookily at times to play drums on on Rob Zombie songs.
Now I see.
Yeah.
He has the mask, though, right?
Oh, sure, Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah. Mask covers half that penis. Then Bobby Z started the record label Zombie A Go-Go Records in 98 to release spooky Halloween music, and he wrote a script for The Crow 2037, which he did not get to make, but he did score the video game Twisted Metal 3 and designed a theme park ride for Universal Studios, weirdly.
Hold on, that was a lot of disparate information that I don't think is related.
Started a record company, didn't get to make a movie, although he wrote a script for it, video game, score, theme park ride.
Tim, do you have an opinion on The Crow?
I've seen it once a very long time ago, possibly on an airplane.
Same here. Maybe not the airplane part, but definitely once a really long time ago. But I knew a number of people that are real crow heads.
I mean, I can see getting behind it. It seems like something that I could base a personality around for some 4 or 5 years. Like that cowboy thing.
Right. No, you do like to latch on to stuff and really... May I ask, who inspired your cowboy association?
Oh, well, no, that's a real thing. We don't have time to get into
I chose the wrong word. What inspired you to seek out joining the group known as the Cowboys?
I saw one once. That's all it takes.
Okay.
See one in all his glory. Spurs a clacking as he walks down Grand Central Station.
Gino, mark the time. I regret now.
Anyway, Mr. Zombie was originally slated to direct House of a Thousand Corpses in 2000, but it was too violent, so it was completely scrapped. So he did a song for the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack and released his second studio album, The Sinister Urge, in November 2001. And
wait, so they were going to make House of a Thousand Corpses, but then it was deemed too violent?
Yes. On that album, The Sinister Urge, he released a song called House of a Thousand Corpses as a sort of a fuck you to the movie studio. The world is going to know about a house in which 1,000 corpses are inside of, whether you guys like it or not. Then in 2002, Sherry Moon became Sherry Moon Zombie when they officially got married on Halloween. Of course they did. And Bobby Z finally got to make House of a Thousand Corpses, which was released in 2003. He did the soundtrack for it, and that, Garrett, included the Christmas classic we all know and love, Pussy Liquor.
Good God.
It also included a cover of the Commodore's Brick House. But
that's probably terrible.
Yeah, but Garrett, Pussy Liquor.
Tim, you just said we were running out of singles for the Scaretacular.
Right.
Did you just say Rob Zombie covered the Commodores? Because that's a thing.
No, Garrett, I said Rob Zombie has a song called Pussy Liquor.
Oh, you're right. I focused on the wrong part.
Yep. He started a comic book company, Spook Show International, because of course he did, and directed The Devil's Rejects in 2005. His next album, Educated Horses, which is a very odd title, was released in 2006. In 2007, he made a remake of Halloween. Then he made a real trailer for the fake film Werewolf Women of the SS for Bobby Rodriguez in QT's Grindhouse, and then released Zombie Alive.
Bobby Rodriguez, QT. You meet Robert Rodriguez once at a Whole Foods, and suddenly he's Bobby Rodriguez, and you know QT. Okay.
QT once had Tim Roth slap me, and I'm a fellow Tim. That's how much he hates that nickname.
Wow, that's how much he hates you.
For the nickname, I assume.
I'm pretty sure other people... I have heard Jeff Bridges call him QT.
No slap. Jeff Bridges mask. Anyway, he scrapped the next film, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and eventually released Halloween 2 instead in 2009. He was the executive producer of the Paul Giamatti animated vehicle, The Haunted World of El Super Beasto. He then broke up with Geffen Records for Slipknot Peddlers Roadrunner Records and released the album of the week, Hellbilly Deluxe 2, let me check my hand, Notable Jackals, Penny Dreadfuls, and the Systematic Dehumanization of Cool. God damn damn it, they tattooed in the Oxford comma. It's all wrong. God damn it. Anyway, that was in 2010. He played God, or voiced God, in the film Super. He directed a commercial for Woolite. He released the film Lords of Salem and the album Venomous Rat Regeneration Vendor, both in 2013. 2014, he was a voice in Guardians of the Galaxy. In 2016, he released his sixth studio album, The Electric Warlock Acid Witch Satanic Orgy Celebration Dispenser. And in 2021, he released The Lunar Injection Kool-Aid Eclipse Conspiracy. He also...
Does he think that's funny? Does he think
does.
it's
He
cute?
thinks
Nobody
it's
likes
very
it.
funny. His song
What about the one with the
titles-
horses? Like Tired Horses?
Educated Horses, yes.
That's the best title for an album I've heard all day.
Yeah, I imagine it has the same cover as that single by Lil Nas X. It's
That's what I'm
classy.
picturing.
Yep. He then decided to join Nikki Sixx, John 5, and Tommy Clufetos in a supergroup
Nailed
called LA Rats, and they've released a single song for the soundtrack of the Liam Neeson, Larry Fishburne film The Ice Road. And he has also announced that he has been hired to direct a film adaptation of The Munsters for NBC Universal's Peacock streaming service, Taste the Peacock. Fucked me. I want to see that peacock, that peacock, yeah. All this is to say that Bobby Z is both spooky and also a huge nerd, and we should keep that in mind as we listen to this album. Excuse me, as we listen to me perform this album for you.
Right. God, I am not looking forward to that. I don't think there's any trumpets on this album, but I see 3 trumpetists in this room.
Oh, that's for a different thing. Different project entirely.
Great. They're just waiting around till we're done.
No. No, they are not.
Questions upon questions, but we just don't have the time. Now, Tim, I don't know, were you a Munsters kid?
No, I remember seeing it on like Nick at Night or something like that. But again, living in Saudi Arabia, this was like vacation. I would occasionally oversee it.
Okay, yeah.
That's not the right word. Overhear it? Nope. Also not that. I would occasionally stumble upon it.
Nicely said. Not being an expat in a hostile country, I did get to see the Munsters pretty regularly on, as you mentioned, Nick at Night. Back in the day when there were like 38 channels, and if that.
You seem
just
much more like an Addams Family guy.
You know, ironically, I really wasn't. I think I was too immature. I didn't get the jokes.
Yeah, that horned
There was way
up
too
father.
much. Yeah, there was way too much like sexual innuendo for 4-year-old or 7-year-old me.
Or not enough. No,
Yeah, one
too
of the two.
much.
You know, so fun Munsters facts. I don't know if these are all true. Internet will probably let me know. I read somewhere that because that show was shot in black and white, that the set itself was actually all sorts of crazy fucking colors because it shows up differently as, just tones of gray,
yeah.
which makes sense.
Interesting. I saw the set that they built for this movie that he's directing. He was also
Yeah,
going to
that's cool.
direct a movie about Groucho Marx. I don't know if that ever happened.
That's weird.
Like a biopic?
Weird.
Yeah.
I wonder who was going to play him.
I don't know. Rob Zombie.
Unfortunately, he refused to cut the dreadlocks or
Yeah.
beard. Also, he's wearing eye makeup. Where was I going with all of this? What were we just talking about?
The Munsters. Was I into the
right.
Munsters?
I just learned a second potentially not true Munsters fact the other day, as it is the season. Allegedly, the guy who played Grandpa Munster was like 37 when they cast him, but he knew that they wanted, obviously a older grandpa, so he olded himself up in every way he possibly could and told them he was in his late 50s.
Interesting.
And it worked. Yeah.
We
How
need
weird
to
is that, though?
block BuzzFeed on your computer.
Fuck off.
Fair enough.
All right, Tim, great history. That brings us to general thoughts.
I have a theory that this album is nothing more than his confession that he just wants to be making movies instead of music. It's,
Right.
it makes sense because if you make a movie, then people can watch it whenever they want, like an album, but no one expects you to like tour that movie. If you make a
Sure.
movie, you don't have to do 34 dates across the US trying to recreate that movie or random scenes out of order from that movie as a play. Live music is weird, is what I'm saying. And he'd probably
Only when
be
you describe it.
rather making movies.
It makes a lot. Well, yes. For Rob Zombie, he definitely would much rather be making movies. And honestly, I'm sure he is pleased as punch to be handling the Munsters. That guy has a serious hard-on for the Munsters and everything schlocky.
Yes. This feels like a sequel to that first album in the truest sense, right? This is a collection of B-sides for an already bad album.
It's an interesting way of putting it because my first question was going to be, why bother calling it Hellbilly Deluxe 2? Because in no way is this like a continuation of everything you remember. There's no Dragula 2000 on here.
No, but I think that it has the same aspect.
No, you're right.
Because
that's why I say it's interesting because you've hit the nail on the head. It's same random disparate theme of I like horror things and also you'll buy this for some reason.
yes, lyrically, he's he's done the bare minimum to technically have made songs. Lyrics are just one-line references to movies from his childhood. There's no plot, no characters. There's some atmosphere and setting. This feels like good background music for a film, but not really for an album.
And by good, let's say it seems much better suited as background music for a film than like the main attraction.
Absolutely. Also, it's very weird. Lyrically, it feels like it was written by AI just sort of pulling things together, but what it really feels like is, you know, Ocean's 11, the 2001 remake?
Clooney Pitt 1-2-hander?
Exactly,
Sure.
Yeah, where they make up a bunch of filler dialogue and it sounds like it means something when it's overheard. It sounds, you know, relevant and heisty, but it doesn't actually mean anything. You know, you're looking for a Jim Brown, a Miss Daisy, 2 Jethros, and a Leon Spinks, plus a Norma Jean, a Cowboy Pete, and an evening at the Improv with Bill Cosby. You know,
and we're going to do behind the nostrils and through the teeth.
Exactly.
Here, just like we did in Serbia? Exactly.
Right. The point is that the lyrics on this album, they all feel like he's doing that. It's just made up 50s jive nonsense. It's horror themed and it's really uninteresting. He has this own little world that's like more specific than QT's world. Sorry, Mr. Tarantino's world, because it only involves like 1940s to 1970s, like B-movie and exploitation movie knowledge. He's writing songs for no one except himself.
And I would argue that he's barely writing them. There is a world in which Bobbert Zombie takes his vast knowledge of horror and his deep love of vintage and exploitation horror and turns that into, if not something I love, something that is at least a proper reflection of an effort well made.
Sure.
Instead, we get free-form association of PG-13 horror themes set in the style of slam poetry, with a background of fairly generic, though entirely competent and even at times pretty goddamn enjoyable Rob Zombie rock music.
Yes. Now, here's the thing that's also kind of true about Beck and most grunge.
I will slap you until next Wednesday if you don't shut your mouth.
I'm just saying conceptually, like that is a description of those things. I like both of those things much better, obviously, than this, but technically that is a description of those things.
Okay, go ahead.
What he really should be doing, he should be living in Las Vegas and operating a small museum of artifacts from horror movies that he owns. And like, when you come in there, obviously there's no one else in this whole place. So he's really excited to see you because, you know, customer. And so he's going to give you the personal tour and he's going to tell you all the backstage that, you know, who banged in this Dragula whenever it was in the...
Hitler.
It's always Hitler, yeah. That guy.
Love fucking in cars.
Yeah, he did.
Hated the Jewish people.
Jesus Christ.
What? What did I say that is untrue?
Nothing. Well, maybe the car thing. I don't actually know.
No, right. I forgot where I started. But the second half is just a fact. That guy was a real monster.
Yeah. This is...
We miss you, Norm Macdonald.
Musically, this is on the whole more rocky than the more like half electronic industrial kind of thing that is most of his other music has. I think the first album had that, but this is more spooky geats than spooky beats.
Spooky what now?
Spooky geats, not spooky beats. That's what I call guitars.
Oh, I'm so sorry I asked. Gino, mark the time. I really regret right now.
Oh, this is fun. We're having a good time.
For the notes later. Okay. Well put, Timmy. Let's talk just a moment about those gates. I'll fucking kill you. You know, it's a specific urge, but I want to remove my shoe, get the thick part of the heel, the edge, you know, that's not worn down yet, and just drive it into your forehead until I see just the smallest amount of blood.
Yeah.
I won't. Yeah, of course I won't.
Ideally, twist it so it happens quicker and we can all continue on the podcast.
Not going to do it. I'm really working on my rage issues.
I believe you're going to do it. I'm going to get you there. I'm going to get you to hate this album, and I'm going to get you to give me some forehead blood.
We'll see. Okay, I think you are on the money, despite your stupid words. It is far less industrial, and dare I say, I miss the industrial. Is that crazy?
Yeah, kind of, because that at least had a little bit more of his personality in the music, or his band's personality, like the history of the White Zombie, Rob Zombie thing. This sounds...
It kisses nu metal at times.
It does, and it's weird because you'd think that the 98 Hate album would have more of that than this, but this, it feel like you can hear elements of like Metallica. You can,
it's like Metallica meets some Slayer with just like a dash of POD.
Oh, there is some POD in here. There's some weird sound likes that we'll get to.
Last thing I want to say about this before we get into it is I don't hate it, mostly because it is exactly what I expected. It fits the formula, right? The Bobbert Zombie formula. Sample in the intro, nonsense verses that are vaguely spooky, a chorus that is usually a little dumber than those verses, and then a whole bunch of music in the back half and we're out.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Okay. So it's going to be that over and over again, so we won't belie it other than to maybe point out I did a little bit of digging on some of these references to figure out, okay, this guy loves these movies so much. I'm going to learn a little bit about him. You and I, we love movies. Maybe we need to be watching these movies. Tim, I can say conclusively, no, these movies are terrible.
Yeah, one of them, I was able. Yes, okay. I was going to say I was able to watch all of them, but
the old Vimeos.
Yeah, and then one of them, it was blocked on my computer, and I suspect that's because it's the living room computer.
Oh yeah. Any hoozle. Okay, let's get into it, Tim. Track number 1, Jesus Frankenstein.
All right, let me get the band together.
Eyes of a sideshow, teeth of a dog, face of a mob.
Not bad, right? I kind of got this.
Not bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Folks, we do a lot of bits here on the show. That might come as a shock to you, but some of these things are jokes. Tim, that was pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. What is the idea here? It's a play on zombie Jesus, but that's a little too played out.
Yeah, and by then, what year was this out?
In 2010, I believe.
Oh yeah. The Zombies Jesus meme was dead on arrival by 2010. And that almost gives him too much credit, though. He may have just thought one day of Jesus Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he thinks this is just real clever.
And folks, we don't have to do a whole lot of questioning this week. The words are on the page. They are weird. So let's get into it a bit. He says, "All hail."
Let me stop you right there. Great way to start your album. This is like that Drive-By Truckers album that started off with a song about incest. You'll want to get your all hail right up top.
Yeah, really hook everyone.
Yes. Carry on.
But then it does take 2 minutes to actually get to the song itself. It's a 5-minute song, 5.5 really. But at around the 2-minute mark, we get into actual lyrics. He begins with eyes of a sideshow, teeth of a dog, face of a marvel, wander in the fog, into ragged mountains, savior of the breed, vandal of the vultures, begging you to feed. Pause.
Now, yes. Eyes of a shadow, teeth of a dog, face of a marvel. Are these things the same person?
Yes.
Okay. And it's an assembly.
You just listed 3 of the parts of this Frankenstein who will be your Lord and Savior.
Right. As he wanders out of a fog, as all good lords and saviors do.
Sure. Into ragged mountains.
Well, sure. Yes. So he's wandering from the fog into the mountains. He's the savior of the breed, the vandal of the vultures. I'm quite sure what that is.
He steals from the vultures to create his pieces.
Oh, you know what? This is a good song. Yeah.
It's one of the better ones, so really bask in it, everybody. So then we get into the chorus, and it's a good one. I'll do my best. It's set as a chant, Tim. He says, "All hail Jesus Frankenstein." And he does that, over and over again. And I'm into it, really. But I got to ask, what makes him Jesus? Is this a Frankenstein? Is this a Jesus of Frankenstein pieces for Frankenstein pieces, for them, by them? Or is it a second coming of Christ assembled from the various pieces of dead people? What makes him so holy? And is he for a specific group, or is he all our Lord and Savior?
Well, of course, every Jesus is for all of us. But my first inclination was to say that perhaps the Romans or whatever murdered all the disciples, the Matthew, Marks, and Luke's and John's, and they chopped them up into little pieces, and then all of those pieces reanimated. And you know how like in those like Power Rangers things, they all come together, all the bodies, the different robots, they all come
Classic
together.
Voltron.
Yeah, into a much bigger one. So that sort of happens, and so it's just a giant Jesus, hooked together
Love
with magic
that.
and stuff. That's number one, and I really want to go with that one. The other option, though, obviously, is we've been around, Frankenstein came out, Mary Shelley, that was early 1800s, I think like 1819 or something like that, right?
Okay.
Since then, that technology is old hat at this point. There have been many Frankensteins. So we as humans, as normal, unmodified humans, have our own Jesus Christ. Those Frankenstein monsters, they need their own savior. And so this is a Frankenstein that exists.
Caters to other Frankensteins.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, interesting. It could very well also be a no, the whole song is about he's a Frankenstein. I was going to say it could be a non-Frankenstein person, but still is a Jesus to Frankensteins. What is the plural of Frankenstein? Frankensteins? I get it right.
Frankenstein. It's like attorneys general.
Oh, I get it. It's correct too, by the way. Well done. High five.
If it's Jesus Frankenstein, perhaps it's Jesus Frankenstein.
One too many. Moving on. Fingers of a madman, arms of a hoax, hands of deception, slide under cloaks.
Let me stop you right there. Uncomfortable with the madman sliding his fingers under my cloak.
Well, he's not a madman, Tim. He's got the fingers of a madman.
Well, right, of course. But sometimes you get somebody drive a shoe into your forehead and you lose a fair amount of blood. They have to give you blood from the hospital, right?
Right. Hospital blood.
Exactly. Where the blood comes from. And you take on that person's characteristics for a little while.
Absolutely.
Right?
Scientific fact.
Yes. So if I chopped off all my fingers and sewed on the fingers of a madman, my fingers would do what the madman's fingers would do.
Here's the thing, though, Tim. I'm hoping for a Monty Burns style overclogging of the system because he's not just a finger transplant situation. You got, fingers of a madman, arms of a hoax. He's got those deceptive hands sliding under cloaks. They're all fighting for different things, and maybe the end result is just a man who stares into the sun all day.
It feels like those hands are fighting all for the same thing.
Yeah, deceptive cloak grabbing. The song continues, behold, he is sickness, hallowed be thy name. Redeemer of the witches is what he became. He's a witch Christ.
I think what happens is once all the apostles' body parts, and I assume because of that, he's got 120 fingers? Or just giant fingers made
if he's an amalgamation, if he's a disciple Voltron, let's go ahead and coin it TM.
Yeah, so he is this monstrous, gigantic 12-person Jesus creation is simply the Jesus for all Halloween creatures and people. So, you've got your goblins, you've got your Martians, you've got your Frankenstein, you've got your witches, etc. Madmen.
Okay, well, hold on now. You've grouped Martians in with witches.
These are all just Halloween things.
No, Martian is a extraterrestrial, Tim. They have a whole different savior.
Oh, well, yeah.
Martian
Christ.
I
can't speak for Mars Christ.
And I should stop, but...
Well, now I notice you do have a holy book, a Mars Christ Bible. Okay, all right. Yep,
we don't talk about these extraterrestrial Bible. Smooth. Yeah. Body of a prophet, hands of a snake, mind of a devil, walk among the fakes. Now, Tim, couple things here. Immediately, I'm brought to my idea for the greatest revenge on your enemies of all time. The ability to turn their arms into completely autonomous poisonous snakes.
Sure.
But more importantly, the way that it reads, you had those fingers of a madman, right? A madman's fingers. The body of a prophet, the torso, I assume you have the trunk of a prophet. Hands of a snake.
Yeah, that one's not well thought out.
Then there's more hailing. No real mention of who made this abomination, because Frankensteins aren't just made. They don't just appear. Unless
they are just made.
Well, sure, they are just made, but there's a creator. There's not, I guess if he's Jesus Frankenstein, was he made by Frankenstein God? Quick question. Is it a disciple Voltron or is it an apostle Voltron, and what's the difference?
Oh, so I think disciple because it was probably immediately afterward. It's probably one of those things that slowly transitions from more of a disciple into an apostle, because I assume that as more people die in the line of service to Christ, their body parts are then absorbed into the ever-growing Christ Frankenstein as he grows in power.
I love it. I think we nailed it. Jesus Frankenstein is a Voltron of disciples and followers and martyrs of Christ.
Yes. Track number 2, Sick Bubblegum.
First of all, excellent work again on that track.
Thank you.
Really well done.
Yep.
Do you know any more than that snippet?
No. We just practiced the 5 to 10 seconds of each song.
Okay. Now this, Tim, is the Hellbilly Deluxe I've come to know and love. We open with a sample from the Werewolves on Wheels, a 1971 exploitation film that combined the outlaw biker gang with the horror genre.
Oh, yeah.
It follows a gang of bikers called the Devil's Advocates. Get it?
I do.
As they stop
Keanu
in the
Reeves movie.
Maybe it's your time to lose, Kevin. I don't lose.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I hate you so much.
I think you're doing Born on the 4th of July again.
That's where I learned what a catheter was. Actually, strike that. That's where I learned catheters can become permanent.
Oh, yeah.
Up until that, they'd been temporary in my life. Anyway.
They've been all nearly permanent, ever present, if you will. Garrett, as a child, was catheterized very frequently.
Like always under protest.
Under duress, yeah.
Now, Tim, what's interesting about 1971's Werewolves on Wheels is that it features, and I looked this up, a large amount of footage of real bikers doing what they do. Like Hunter S. Thompson style. Just hanging out with bikers. And they're like, well, we don't have money for extras, so we'll just film them, committing crimes.
Yep, and possibly beating us savagely at the end. Like all Bobby Z songs, though, you do, of course, start with the sample. And then he talks about the phrase sick bubblegum. He said, this was a phrase I heard from my friend Johnny Ramone in a VH1 special about the history of punk. They asked him how he described the Ramones music, and he said bubblegum, and then paused and said sick bubblegum. So I wrote it down, and that's where the song came from.
So that does not help me to understand this at all.
No, but I think the point is he doesn't know what the song title means. It probably means nothing. Let's make this the second single for the record.
What an odd choice. My best guess as to what this may be about is about the difficulty of daily life.
Maybe.
I don't know. Let's get into it. He says, mechanized head and a god named Zed.
Okay, hold on. Let me pause you right there. Mechanized head and a god named Zed. You heard that and you thought difficulties of daily life.
Well, no.
Oh, I apologize then. Keep reading.
Thank you. Mechanized head and a god named Zed. I keep telling you, it's all right. A parallax view that you can't unscrew when it all just gets so tight. Starting to see. Now, Tim, I was curious. Do you have any idea why there's a god named Zed? Best I got, Zed means God is righteous in Hebrew.
That's better than I can do.
Fair enough. Could also be about the military-industrial complex or corporatization of America. We'll get there. The mechanized head of a god named Zed. So maybe the mechanized head is industrial, or not industrial, modern corporate America, or the military machine, if you will. That parallax view that you can't unscrew when it all just gets so tight. Of course, everybody under that pressure. But he greets this buildup of pressure, this mechanized god named Zed, with a chorus that is on its surface in theme. But I put to you, Tim, these are placeholder lines. He says, rock motherfucker, rock the motherfucker. Rock motherfucker, yeah. Rock motherfucker, rock the motherfucker, rock motherfucker, yeah.
So in your mind, these are like the lie-da-die-lie-da-die-die-da-dies from The Boxer.
This is his lie-da-die, right? Yes.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
I was actually saying the opposite, that these were definitely... Wait, were those supposed to be placeholder lines?
Yeah, he was going to come up with something for that later, and then was just like, no, that sounds great. So you're saying, because of how good rock motherfucker, rock the motherfucker, rock motherfucker, yeah, sounds. He kept it.
No. I was going to say one key difference. It is obvious. Never once Rob Zombie turned to anybody and say, this is good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because then it goes, chew it up, spit it out, sick bubblegum. Blow it up, stick it out, sick bubblegum. Tear it up, push it down, sick bubblegum. Shove it in, rip it out, sick bubblegum.
Best I got is chewing up it's either chewing up the bubblegum that is life and blowing bubbles, no matter how much it tastes like shit, or possibly being chewed up by life, like a sick bubblegum.
Maybe.
Shove it in, rip it out. Maybe he doesn't know how gum works.
Yeah, it might be him just attempting to describe how he does gum as literally as possible.
Maybe sick bubblegum is a euphemism for intercourse? Tear it up, push it down, shove it in, rip it out.
Blow
He's
it
doing
up,
it wrong
stick
if
it out. Yeah, either way, bubblegum or intercourse, Rob Zombie does this incorrectly.
A fireproof stick, and I ain't so quick. I just make you think I am. Black numb days and a model hater. Brand new illusion scare. Tim, I ask, the fuck does that mean?
I think it was written by an AI, the same one that writes stories about you and I having sex for some reason.
Yeah. And it's never quite sex. It's usually something way worse, by the way.
Oh, yeah. It's sex adjacent, but it's never...
Yeah, it's like some new thing a computer invented that we're not okay with. Tim, I have used these story generators before. None of them ever turned so erotic. I don't know what our fans are doing, but please stop. We loved the stories, but they get far too erotic.
On the plus side, though, I mean, when they released these like AI generators to the internet at large, they immediately became racist because people were just typing horrible things into them. At the bare minimum, there's no racism in ours.
That's good, I guess. We don't have a racist fan base.
Yes, but they're perverts. Every last one of them.
Yeah, you guys real perverts. And you're only making my life more difficult. You know that.
Remember the coop when you hit the loop, A New God in Hollywood, Diamond Days and your Locust Plays, you wouldn't make it if you could.
Locust Plays is interesting. Now, maybe they're saying, remember what it was like when you were regular Joe, living your normal life, when you become a big shot. But even if you do make it, if you do become a big shot, you're not going to survive the sin, aka Wrath of God, the Locust Plays. That guy loves raining locusts down on people. And you're eventually going to be killed.
Perhaps it's a Jesus made partially of locusts.
Or maybe God has sent down a plague of locusts to fight the disciple Voltron that is now trying to position itself as the new god.
Yeah,
I could
that
see
works.
it.
Sure. Track number 3. What? This begins with a sample from a 1977 B-movie, The Child, in which a newly hired housekeeper arrives to her employer's house in the countryside, and she slowly discovers that the only child in the house hides a deadly secret.
If you want to see a slightly more modern version of this movie that is in no way related, but I think is far better, watch The Boy.
Just one boy? Or are there multiple boys?
Just one. The sequel's called The Boys. Or Boys. I believe the sequel's called Boys, but the first one stars a young man named Brahms.
We should also note that each one of the movies that Mr. Zombie references, samples, etc., they have like a 3 to maybe 4.5 out of 10 rating on IMDb. These are not movies that you've seen, and they're not movies that you would like, but you should watch them. One of them's pornography.
One of them is pornography, and we will get there. I will say, of the quotes that are in this, I almost called it a movie, Tim, of the quotes that are in this album, this one might be one of my favorites. It does open with, sounds like an older person saying, I want to know who you were meeting in that cemetery. And you just hear a little kid go, I don't have to tell you anything. It's very odd.
Yeah. I really like the keyboard part that's mostly in the background of this song. I think that works really well.
Yeah, it's great. It sounds shockingly like Elvis Costello's Pump It Up from 1978.
Oh, yeah. Might be why I like it, because,
probably
better song.
Better artist. The song begins, all right, my human duplicators, prehistoric women, and Jack the Ripper said, what? Any thoughts in the first verse, Tim? Curious.
None whatsoever.
I think this is the Bobbert zombie way of saying, gather round, ladies and gents, and I'll tell you a tale. Human duplicators, prehistoric women, and Jack the Ripper.
Okay.
He's an eccentric dude, Tim.
He's not, though. This is the problem.
No, he's really not. He's a super normal guy.
It has this feeling of I'm writing a normal song, and then I'm switching out some of the words for spooky things.
Right. Yeah, because he basically does kind of just say, all right, guys and gals, gather round and I'll tell you a tale, but calls them human duplicators.
Sure. And he's not really going to tell you a tale. He's just going to tell you about movies he saw once. Bad movies.
Right. The next thing I pulled out, Tim, was she married a monster on the very last day. She turned around and said, what? Is this a story about a woman being murdered by her husband?
Maybe.
She married a monster, and on her, I assume it's her very last day, she turned around and was like, hey, honey, could you get me the O?
Yeah.
Stab, 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 stab.
Why do you have enough wax to make a human-sized candle in our kitchen?
No reason. That's not a great reply.
Nope. I was a teenage something or other with a Judge 5-man. What? Vampire lovers in a wild bikini say,
Yes. So, I think these are just friends enjoying a lovely pool party at his home in Connecticut.
Absolutely. Cannibal Man and a Jungle Girl? That seems erotic.
Yep. Sounds a lot like Whiskey. What was that guy? Whiskey Man and a Chevy Girl?
Whiskey Man and a Nowhere Girl?
That's it.
Hope not. That was a tragic story.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad introducing you to that, only to be,
I mean, it was an amazing story, and I got 3 great albums out of it, but good God,
True.
that story is tragic.
Okay, back to this song. Like a son of Kong, like a Fu Manchu. Why do you not know what to do? What? Tim, does he have evil intentions for his guests?
No, I think he's just got a Fu Manchu and some sort of ape man in the pool party.
It's all just fun nicknames he's got for his buds.
Maybe it's like a George Bush thing, like how he used to nickname everyone poorly. Oh, God damn it. Am I the Bush of this podcast? God damn it.
Call this one Scooter, because his name's Scooter. That's not a nickname, sir.
Anyway, let's move on. There's some Satan cheerleaders. There's some bouncing pom-poms. Track number 4, Mars Needs Women.
Great title.
Sure, and you notice that the band and I were just playing Stone Temple Pilots' Pretty Penny?
Yeah, it's very similar in the opening,
Right,
at least.
sure. Yeah, it's an acoustic guitar and bongos. It gets significantly less similar as the song goes on, which is kind of a shame because I wish more of the album had different sounds like this.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, it's one of those times where you're reminded, like, oh, these are very good musicians. They just don't like a style of music that you and I like.
Yeah, and maybe the musicians don't like the style that Rob Zombie likes, and so they're just doing this begrudgingly.
Sneaking it in.
Yeah. So this is in reference to 1967's Mars Needs Women. According to IMDb, Dopp leads his fellow Martians to Earth on an interplanetary quest for females. Dopp proves that Martians have impeccable taste when one of his first conquests turns out to be sexy scientist Dr. Marjorie Bolin. Now, this one was blocked on our computer, our living room computer. Is this pornography?
No, because it's a made-for-TV movie, and they are unsuccessful.
Is it possible that there's a pornographic version of it?
Yes, but it's unrelated
Oh.
in any official capacity.
Mars Needs Women, Angry Red Women. Mars Needs Women, Angry Red Women. What?
Seems pretty straightforward. That's a declarative statement that is said 12 times in the 5 minutes that is this song. You can hear it calling, hijack what you're wanting, a sweet ride, baby, with a broken face. Tim, it's obvious. Martians are luring our Earth women to come and repopulate the red planet.
Absolutely, and they seem to be doing it the same way that 1950s guys would, with some sort of sweet space car, like a space Dragula of some sort.
Hey, baby. Wanna take a space ride? You crazy. You're crazy. Seriously, girl, wanna take a ride? I don't know why that's my Martian voice. I feel like it's like their vocal cords aren't adaptive for our language,
It's
so it's
mostly
really
a series of clicks, from my experience.
experience. Anyway, song continues. Stop, look, dig it. If she want to get it. Stop, look, dig it. All she can destroy. I think the women are leaving in droves, and it's going to destabilize Earth's population and will make Mars the dominant planet in our solar system. Also, this song has 10 stop, look, dig it's.
Yeah, that's 8 too many.
At least.
I don't know if it's at this point or not, but there is an instrumental section that sounds like a woman having sex with lasers.
Correct, Tim. I wrote down moaning women samples with ray gun noises in the background and 2 thumbs up emojis.
Yeah.
A true high point in the song, if not album. After the stop, look, dig it's, he says, child afraid to use it, strip it and abuse it. A sweet ride, baby. Get me out of this place. Don't want to feel like a whore or a dairy cow, right? She's afraid to strip it and abuse it, but she also understands that's a pretty sweet ride and wants to get the fuck out of there, get over to Marstown, start making some babies. Pretty on point.
Yeah. I think that's how that works, too.
Sure. I mean, it's how it would work. It hasn't worked yet, as far as we know. We remain the dominant species in the solar system for now. New gods a moving, miracles a losing, a cash in, baby. Just give it a taste. I think it might mean leave your god on Earth and pay off some of that nagging credit card debt with an 18-year term of service raising a Martian baby.
So they have
That's
credit
like-
cards up there as well.
No. The Earth credit card debt. Martians come down. They trade in their, Martian artifacts for some sweet hot cash. And then you go down to a local recruitment center. You say, hey, I'm willing to give up my womb and 18 years of my life raising your horrible Martian babies. In return, you're going to pay off my $28,000 credit card debt, or at least consolidate it into a much more manageable single interest payment.
Yeah, that's fair. Given what I know about creditors,
Unmanageable debt.
yes, about $11,000 worth of record club debt, you're either going to have to commit 4 to 5 murders, or you're going to have to allow a Martian access to that womb.
Jesus Christ. That is in conversation. Gino, mark the time. Timothy Richardson in conversation.
He's asleep.
He is dead asleep.
Track number 5. Let's try and wake him up with Werewolf Baby.
Werewolf baby, long
Opens with The Loop, dialogue from the 1981 The Howling, which I remember it being pretty good.
I don't think I've ever seen it. It also has 1981's Wolfen and 1941's The Wolfman in it.
Oh, I didn't realize that has the Wolfman in it.
Yeah.
Because you open with this call and response of, what do you see? They can sense the rhythm of your blood. And that's at least the Howling and the Wolfen bit going back and forth. Before we open with a little slide guitar, which I was not expecting.
Sure. And then it's a song about how being a werewolf would be kind of sexy.
Interesting. Oh, yeah. Tim, this is about two things. Eroticism and werewolves.
Oh, yeah. Like Teen Wolf, the movie, the Michael J. Fox movie.
Listen, get your goddamn eyes out of my notes. We'll get there. We're going to get there in the first little bit.
I feel my blood boil, I feel my spine coil, my hair is ripping, my mind is tripping. I'm a monster, can I come over? Some kind of demon to get you screaming. Werewolf baby is all she really said. The moon went up and I went out of my head. This is a story about a guy who, when he turns into a werewolf, he's not out there eating people. He's not out there mauling anyone. He is banging.
Mauling that pussy, Tim, am I right?
Okay,
high five.
Okay, no, I will not high five that.
Didn't do it.
That is crass.
Didn't do it. Ouch. Gino, high five.
Nope, still asleep.
Dead asleep.
Yeah. She get on it like she want it. When the sun dies, night is called. You know what? Oh, hang on. There we go. You know what? You were right this time. She get on it like she want it. When the sun dies, night is calling. I am the right one. When the night comes, a lonely hunter, you're falling under that wicked feeling. Start believing you are afflicted by what the fangs did. This is about a lady who's into that Wolfman.
Okay, so lots of questions here. In your version, how did you interpret it? I got 3 takes in my mind. The least ridiculous. He is sexually aroused like he's transformed into a beast that can only be satiated.
Nope, not that one.
Okay. Right, obviously. Obviously it's not that, but I'm trying to be reasonable. Now let's talk about what the song's about. The other 2 does he transform and then head on over there with that red rocket, that hot wolf dick?
Okay, you know what? I take back my high five, dude. This
Come on, man. Okay,
is a family show.
After dark.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Continue.
Bringing it back.
Well,
God, Tim, it's been...
You don't need to say that.
Well, let me do it justice. After dark, everyone's warned. Now I can say that hot red rocket wolf dick.
Okay.
What?
Just carry on. But
Okay, or the third scenario, the most likely. Tim, do you remember when we saw An American Werewolf in Paris?
Yes.
And Modern Family's Julie Bowen was having intercourse with the guy from That Thing You Do, and mid-coitus, he begins to transform into a wolf. Is that what we're dealing with here? Is she into it, or is he into it? Are they both into it? Is this some sort of werewolf play?
He's definitely into it. It's not werewolf play because that would imply that he's faking being a wolf for her sexual gratification, and it is not that. He's a real wolf.
He's definitely a wolf.
Yeah.
Okay. It worked for Teen Wolf.
Really work.
Scotty got the babe. He got the lead in the play. He was the center on the basketball team, which is ridiculous because he's 5 foot nothing.
Yeah, it's the power of the wolf. Oh, the dogs are going crazy, Garrett.
Yeah, that was a mistake. I apologize. We'll have to edit around that. You were right, Tim. It does end with 1941's The Wolf Man. He says, even a pure man, deep in his heart can turn to insane from the wolf's bane. Which brings me to my first question. I thought wolf's bane was used as a repellent. Like, it's considered to be like a cure for being a wolfman, not something that turns you into a werewolf.
Oh, I want to be real clear. I do not know your weird herbal remedies for werewolfitude.
Well, it's actually called aconitum. It's super poisonous, and it will cause a slowing of the heart, even through skin contact. So you should be very careful. I think it's in the UK, but it's colloquially known as wolfsbane.
The moon went up, and I went out of my head. Werewolf baby brings her to her knees. Man to wolf is what she really needs. I don't think she's bringing that wolfbane.
No, she wants him inside her when he begins to transform.
After
what?
Dark.
After dark.
Man. Jesus
Come on,
Christ.
man.
All right.
What? It's in the song.
Let's move it. You're right. That's what's happening here. Let's move on. I don't want to dwell on this. There's children listening.
You're making me feel bad.
You should feel bad. You did a bad thing, and you should feel bad about it.
Track number... the next one's going to be way better. Track number 6, Virgin Witch. Shit.
She came, behold the one.
The intro sounds like a Metallica song from 15 to 20 years ago, but way less good.
Don't you get some church bells with this too?
Oh, yeah. That's part of what it is. I mean, because they did a fair amount of that as well, the Metallicas.
Oh, yeah. For whom the bell tolls.
Yeah.
Time marches on. Then we get a pretty good little metal riff, and I'm pretty into the music on this song, if I'm being honest.
Sure. Musically, a lot of these songs are very serviceable. The problem with this one, other than every other line, is just somebody yelling Virgin Witch in the background.
Virgin Witch.
Let's read it without those. Let's just skip those.
What an interesting idea. We did not rehearse this, so we'll see how it goes. I'm going to read just a small bit so people get the cadence, and then we'll stop and we'll go back. And I want you to read it without the Virgin Witch. So the way it should sound, folks, is, and she came, Virgin Witch, which is delivered a lot like you stupid bitch, but maybe that's just me. And she came, Virgin Witch, behold the one, Virgin Witch, seek to destroy. And there might even be a Virgin Witch there. So great. So you get the general cadence, everybody. If you've never heard this song, who are we kidding? Because you've never heard this song. So now, Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you. I want you to read as much as you'd like, omitting the Virgin Witch, and I'm curious if it comes into any clearer view as to what exactly is going on here.
And she came, behold the one, seek to destroy. Into the earth, none shall pass. Break from the gods, prepare the war, risk the soul, raise the sword, no more words. One shall stand, slay the beast. Now, I'm going to stop there because those are all the words.
You just read the whole song, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Wow, okay. Didn't help me personally.
No.
How about you?
Not at all. This comes off as something that might work as background music for that like Warcraft movie or maybe like a Dungeons and Dragons movie coming March 3rd, 2023 starring Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez. The point is this doesn't work as a song on its own, especially if you're just shouting Virgin Witch over the whole thing.
Right. It sounds like a best we can do, and we're going to go through it real quick. Some sort of battle against a virgin witch or a new witch. Has she not been with another witch biblically, or is she a virgin to being a witch? Is she a new witch?
I think he means the first thing.
Into the earth none shall pass, meaning maybe no one can die. Break from the gods can no longer take life. That seems like a pretty horrible thing to do. Everyone thinks it's fun at first until nobody dies. Also, I'm not saying you don't feel pain. So what if nobody dies and then people think, oh, okay, and they start jumping off of buildings and just being horribly crippled?
I just assume you age normally, but you just don't die. So,
You're just a goo.
Yes, you're 150 years old, and you're 150 years old. You broke your hip 38 years ago, and that thing's not getting fixed.
God, you're going to need a full robot replacement from the neck down.
Ooh.
Prepare the war, risk of the soul, raise the sword. Sounds like they're fighting a witch. So for the privilege of death, maybe. No more words. One shall stand, slay the beast.
This might be a witch fighting that Jesus Frankenstein character. Maybe she's the hero of the whole thing.
Oh,
or
interesting.
Maybe not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. None of this.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe it's a werewolf fighting a witch, sword in paw. That's something you don't see much. Has anybody ever done a werewolf that has enough cognizance and dexterity to wield a weapon? What are those terrible movies with Mila Jovovich?
Resident Evil.
Oh, I meant the other ones. Underworld.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what Underworld is? The Rise of the Lycans.
Yeah, that doesn't help. Let's move on.
Last thing I got to mention, Tim, light Gregorian chanting through the entire song.
Well, of course there is. I don't think that needs to be said, Garrett. It's Virgin
You're right.
Witch.
I apologize. Track number 7, Death and Destiny Inside the Dream Factory.
This is a song about how he had a hard time getting his movies made early in his career, I guess. Is that what this is?
It's definitely about the grind. That's for sure.
Hollywood's a hard town, if you want to be...
Fickle bitch.
Yes.
The song is somehow fairly short at 2 minutes and 19 seconds and has twice as many lyrics as every other song in here. It begins with free your mind and feel the passion, baby. Death and suntan still in fashion, baby. Hollywood in Hollywood. Yeah, crush your idols. They can afford it, baby. Permanently vile and fascinating. Hollywood in Hollywood. Decadence to the point of death and a good tan are still popular. And feel free to treat celebrities like giraffes at the zoo when you see them. They deserve it.
This is true. This is not you being sarcastic. This is you offering advice to our listener.
Well, it's also Robert Zombie offering the exact same advice.
Sure. Break it down. Please stop calling. I'm so sick. I think I'm falling. Break it down. Please stop calling. I'm so sick. I think I'm falling. He is not going to give up, and they're not going to take him because he just wants to make weird movies about the houses with 1,000 corpses in them. As a person who has a spook house with 50 corpses in it, soon to be 54 to 56, allegedly, and also probably fake.
Definitely fake.
Anyway, the point is, that's too many corpses in the house. Inside the mind-fucking, meat-grinding, unwinding, soul-sucking factory of all your dreams. I like how that's delivered kind of like a carnival barker in this song.
Yep, yeah, it's not bad. It's a good little rhythm there. You could see him writing those very lines for that carnival barker clown in all of his houses with various corpses.
Oh, that guy
Tim,
died.
do you think... Yeah, recently. Do you think that if you're Rob Zombie and you can't get House of 1,000 Corpses made, which way do you take it? Hey, Paul, this is Rob. Been giving it some thought. Appreciate the notes. Sorry we're not moving forward. What if there were 800 corpses in the house? Does that change anything? Give me a call back. Or, hey, Paul, this is Rob. Just giving it some thought, and I think I understand where the studio is coming from. What if we had 2,000 corpses? Would that be a scarier house? Would that be something that Warner Brothers or Universal will be interested in making? Because I can easily rewrite the last act and include 2,000 corpses if that's what you think is going to make this thing a sell.
So this is like a 5,000 candles in the wind type thing.
Right, just keep adding those corpses. It's worked in the past.
It has.
Somewhere in a canyon, death is waiting. Hippie freaks and convicts congregating. Hollywood in Hollywood. Tim, at any given moment, a Charlie Manson type figure is rallying a group of feeble-minded, acid-induced morons to come and murder you.
What, me specifically?
Anyone in Hollywood.
Oh, okay, so not me specifically.
As long as you're in that guest house, you should be fine.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I am willing to join your band of weirdos.
No, Tim, again, you want to be in the guest house. You didn't hear anything.
Oh, no, sure. I'm just saying if they come to the guest house, like...
oh, sure.
That's the good thing about having the specific face I am. No one's 100% sure that I didn't come with you, right?
That's true.
Just meld into the crowd.
I'm Reginald. I've always been here.
Track number 8, Burn.
Opening with a sample, of course. It says, "Be quiet and sit down, I command you." Then followed by, "Let us beware of those who seek to possess our bodies and our minds, for the academic world dehumanizes us." It comes from 1970s Incense for the Damned, aka Bloodsuckers. And that's all I know about it.
It does, but it also kind of sounds like a Hitler outtake.
Let's see here.
Be quiet and sit down.
Sit down. I command you.
Yeah.
Let us beware of those who speak to possess our bodies and our minds. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's Hitler.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it, everybody. Just line on up. God, why is there so much Nazi shit in this?
I like the guitar riff.
Slightly more traditional Rob Zombie sounding song, if I must say.
It is. So I think we should skip all the verses because they're very generic, dark imagery. I don't know how you feel about that, but
Can we jump to I don't know how to put it, Tim. Can we jump to the Rivingtons?
Talking about the chorus? Is that the
Papa ooh mow mow, Papa ooh mow.
Yes. Yeah, that's okay. This is great. The Papa ooh mow mow, Papa ooh mow. I love this. It's stupid, but it sounds like if, okay, you're Batman, you're in some sort of prison, this hole in the ground, and you're trying to climb up the walls. Bane's been there, he left you, you're in like Turkey or something, and they begin chanting, but it's not quite right. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a hero arises, Garrett. Kevin Federline steps forward,
What?
and he begins to lead the chant. This is Popo Zao, chanted by a demon or by maybe the War Boys from that Mad Max film you were in that like a few years ago, or again, the prison folk.
The Dark Knight prison folk in the well. Yeah, so it gets weirder, Tim. I hope what I'm about to tell you is news, but not entirely unrelatable news. First, let's focus on what you said. The Papa Ooh Mow Mow, or as it said in this song, Papa Ooh Mow Mow, Papa Ooh Mow.
Popo Zao. There you go.
Very similar. But also, do you know the source
the
of this lyric?
1962 novelty one-hit wonder band, The Rivingtons?
Indeed. So, folks, it took me a moment, but then I reached back into the recesses of my 98.7 K-Love, I K-Love my oldies, and I remembered, Papa Ooh Mow Mow, Papa Ooh Mow Mow Mow, Papa Ooh Mow Mow, Papa Ooh Mow Mow Mow, Papa Ooh Mow Mow, Papa Ooh. I will not continue in the interest of brevity, but it's that song.
Yeah, and it's a little like borderline Tarantino-y, like something that might be in Jackie Brown maybe, in sort of an ironic way.
Sure. Well, I'm sure you get some Donald Donald Duck surf music in Jackie Brown. I'm almost certain of that.
Possibly this song.
It very well could be in this in that movie. Now, Tim, we did jump over all of the lyrics, and I'm not going to drag you back through them because I think it's a good move. Needless to say, let me just give you, you know what, we need a special phrase for when we say the lyrics are so unimportant, we have called out the only thing that need to be mentioned. It's not an omission. It's not a veto. We've got those in the bank. It's not the rule of 11.
We could call it a Papa Oomau Mau.
Papa Oomau Mau. Papa Oomau Mau. Papa Oomau Mau. Papa Oomau. Get out of here, Rob.
Popozao.
There's all sorts of dumb things we could call it. My apologies to the Brazilian people. We will call it for now a one and done.
Okay.
We've tackled one thing about the song. It's the most important thing. And now we're done.
Track number 9, Cease to Exist.
Curious if you have a similar sounds like on the opening here. I got a bit of a GNR Civil War sort of a thing.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Because you got the acoustic, you've got kind of the wailing guitar, and then you've got the talking.
Sure, yeah. And did you figure out what all that talking was?
I did.
A bunch of science fiction writers being interviewed in the 70s and then just played all over each other?
Yeah, for some reason they're played over each other at the same time throughout most of the song. And it is nauseating.
Yes.
I even know exactly what all of them say, but I'm not gonna read it because there's no point.
Yeah.
The summation is the topic is the advancement of humanity and science fiction as a result of the evolution of technology and how the two coexist and feed on each other, more or less.
Yeah. The title of this song was stolen from Charles Manson, or technically from the Beach Boys. Robert Zombie said, I always liked the title Cease to Exist from the Charles Manson song. If I'm not mistaken, the Beach Boys did a cover of that song, but they changed the title. I always thought, damn, why'd they change the title? That was the best thing about it. So if they don't want the title, I'll use it, which is, I guess, a thing you can just do.
What is the other one, Tim, the one you like so much? Garbage Town? Is that what it's called?
Garbage Dump, yeah. You sang one time, Mustard Boy, why don't you live in a hot dog house? Something to that effect.
Mustard boy, why don't you live in a hot dog house?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's pretty spot on.
Yeah, there's almost nothing to this song, so let's get into it real quick. Die to live, the grand illusion steps into the mass delusion, okay? Creep inside and crawl around it, the one within it, the one who found it. Cease to exist. Your mind is breaking free. I got two things for you. Now, I have proposed, maybe foolishly in the past, that a song may or may not be about the Matrix. Sure sounds like they're stepping into another dimension, at least. I'm thinking multiverse or possibly the Matrix. Or ayahuasca trip.
Yes, possibly.
Everlasting ghosts to follow, enemies that beg and borrow, pretty poison, black as morning, break it down without warning. Yeah, he's having his ego broken down, Tim, by Mother Gaia and her panther and snake people.
Oh, that's true.
As I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going on a mind-bending trip. He's facing his weird demons. What would be amazing, Tim, is if he goes through this crazy ayahuasca trip and then he comes out just a different man and makes like Babe 3, Babe on Broadway.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, George Miller, call me. You know, he made Pig in the City.
Oh, yeah.
That's so, what do you mean, oh yeah? That's so weird. Anyway.
Yeah. Then there's a drum solo halfway through this song.
Oh, is there ever?
This is shockingly one of two drum solos here, but it gets very Insane Clown Posse-esque during the drum solo. They repeat, keep all hands inside while riding this ride. You must be so high to ride the dark ride. All you want's inside the dark ride. Keep all hands inside while riding this ride. That's repeated possibly 100 times. Does Robert also have some sort of dark carnival access? Is he...
I think he's accessing it through the third item, his pineal gland.
Okay.
He's taking that ride.
Yeah, and we
to
all
Fractalville.
have. Mm-hmm.
If you haven't, buy a ticket.
Yes, DMT. Smoke it now.
Tim, that is maybe the most irresponsible thing we've ever said on this show. No, don't. Track number 10, Werewolf Women of the SS. The best part of the album, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. This is obviously a reference to and possibly has voiceover from the fake Grindhouse trailer.
Yes. It opens with a sample from that trailer, and of course the fake Grindhouse trailer is based on the very real pornography entitled Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS.
Sure. I like the music of this. The manic pace reminds me of the other Robert Zombie album we listened to, which compared to the rest of this album, this song slaps. slaps.
Oh man, hard to support, but I can. Yeah, the music is fun. This is the one that has a fun surf sound. I don't know how familiar you are, Tim, but it reminded me of the opening of Mr. Show.
Yeah, kinda. And you know exactly how familiar I am. Don't give me that.
Well,
Very.
Okay. Did you rewatch by any chance the trailer for Werewolf Women of the SS?
No.
Boy, you are missing out, Tim. That's almost unacceptable. It's got Nicolas Cage, for God's sake.
Yeah, he plays Fu Manchu. Garrett, I don't have to rewatch it. I can close my eyes and it plays on the inside of my eyelids.
I stand corrected. Also, so many topless women. I didn't think that was allowed on YouTube, but apparently
I think if it's for art, it's fine.
Interesting. Excuse me. Gino, I need to have an art argument later with YouTube.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Gonna wrestle a wiener into submission. I get it. The lyrics are pretty straightforward. It seems to be about werewolf women of the SS, just as promised.
Sure. Says, they are black widows, baby, off the streets of Berlin. Pure wolf is the mission. She-devils of sin. Pure wolf, Tim. Hilarious. They're murderous werewolf Nazis. What do you want?
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing. They're not really werewolves. They're pure wolves. That's a different thing entirely.
What?
A werewolf is not a pure wolf. It is a wolf-human hybrid.
Sure, I'm with you so far.
Then pure wolf is the mission. So I guess what they're saying is they're trying, the mission is pure wolf. So you want to get as close as you can to that wolf, as close as you can to your true animal instincts while in the werewolf state.
Ooh, I like that. I do like that. Or maybe you want to be in your most human instincts in the middle of your werewolf state.
No.
Go to job.
Just drooling all over those bank reports. Whatever people do at work.
Jesus Christ. He's fine. He's just hungry. He's fine. I'm just going to get some ham.
That's the thing. Wolves and werewolves love ham. You get yourself a nice honey-baked ham.
Tim, I don't go hiking anytime in the woods without strapping 2 fresh hams to my body.
Right. One for you, one for any errant wolf. Or wolf-like creature. Wolf-like humanoid.
Yeah. Now, I read it to mean that pure wolf line was that she wanted, or they wanted to have pure wolf, meaning everyone's a werewolf. That's what I thought. Or possibly all werewolves are purebred Aryans. Because don't forget, they're Nazis.
I like that. That's a probably the right interpretation there.
Right. Because they would only want the purest of genetics to have the gift of being a werewolf.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, this next line, Tim, you're a bit of a history buff and have some connections to Germany we need not get into, but I'm curious if you can help enlighten me. They say, they're in control now. Strasser, you are through. You are going to worship everything that they do. Now, this Strasser fellow, do you know, Tim, is this Otto or Gregor Strasser? Both were early members of the left-wing faction of the Nazi Party. Gregor was, of course, killed on the Night of the Long Knives, but Otto survived only to be exiled for his liberal Nazi ways.
It's Gregor.
Thank you. I thought it was Gregor. It felt like Gregor. Anyway, the Night of the Long Knives, Tim. Hadn't read about that before.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of, I don't want to say interesting stuff, because it's not weird to be super into World War II.
I mean, if it is, every single father over the age of 50 will have to be brought in front of a court.
True. It's weird to collect only one side. Well, depends. If it's your side of
You're doing
memorabilia,
a different thing.
Yeah, like if you're collecting American World War II memorabilia, that's fine. If you're collecting memorabilia from everyone, that's fine. If you're collecting just
the one.
Yeah, like let's say you're an Italian and you get a job at what you think is a radio station because you don't really understand technology and you've just got a fucking footlocker full of Italian. It doesn't matter. The point is you got to diversify.
They're Mussolini's undergarments. Let's just say it.
Yeah, they are.
And again, I don't say underwear because they're unconventional.
Yeah, they've got you have to understand, Garrett, back then they weren't quite as big on elastic as they are now. So you had like the sock garters. You also had the underpants garters.
That's what those are.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Back to the song. It continues, Werewolf Women of the SS. Howl, baby, howl. Howl, baby, howl. Of course, reminds us quickly of who we're talking about. And of course, ends with the sound effect of a wolf howling, as it should.
Yes.
Before we head into Up Ahead, You Will Suffer, stripping off your skin. Here comes the ladies, super women of death, Gretchen and little Eva, pure blood on their breath. Now, Tim, I watched and rewatched and re-rewatched, and then a couple more times watched this trailer. As I mentioned, very good trailer. But it mostly just shows murderous women being accompanied by a werewolf in a sequins jacket and gloves. I question, are these women werewolves? Or are they SS scientists making werewolves? Werewolves.
So are they the Frankenstein god or the DV?
Yeah, you get it. Anything else in here? I think there's a solid solo, a lot more howling, and then we end with another sample where they say, "We are now in total control," and more howls.
Track number 11, The Man Who Laughs.
How does this keep happening to us? This is like the third album in a row where I get to what I believe to be the last song, and it is almost 10 minutes.
Well, Garrett, this is his Weezer's Madam Butterfly. It's going to start off with strings, so it starts with a pleasant surprise, and then it's about the 1928 silent film, The Man Who Laughs. So it's apparently along the lines of Phantom of the Opera or Hunchback of Notre Dame or Tommy Lee in the Studio.
I know all about The Man Who Laughs, if you'd like to hear a little.
I wouldn't. This film inspired the original incarnation of the Joker. If you want to Google Conrad Veidt as Gwynplaine and the grin that he had.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And even better Google Cesar Romero and see a Joker that doesn't give a fuck if he has a mustache. He's putting that makeup on.
No, this is true, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even that, Romero was the inspiration in the 1966 Batman for Heath Ledger's Joker. You look at the two, it's the same makeup.
True, yeah.
Now, as for The Man Who Laughs itself, this is so strange. It's about a little boy. His father is an exiled noble in England for doing God knows what, and the little boy is taken by what is known as a comprachico. A comprachico loosely translates to child buyer.
Right.
The child buyer also happens to be a surgeon, and he maims our main character named Gwynplaine, giving him a Chelsea grin, but also cutting away the lips, thus exposing the teeth at all times. Because his father was an exiled nobleman, or possibly because he had a smart mouth.
Maybe because he could.
God damn it. Please don't help. So then his father returns to claim poor Gwynplaine, and unfortunately, the King of England's like, "Hey, I thought I exiled you," so he sticks him inside one of those, what are they called?
Iron Maiden?
Yeah. Sticks him in an Iron Maiden, killing him with the spikes and such. And then the king, realizing these comprachicos going around maiming children aren't the best thing, he exiles them all from England. And the kid's like, "Hey, what about me?" And they're like, "Yeah, we can't really sell you on account of your horrible, horrible face," which is weird because they did it to him. And so he ends up becoming the star of a freak show, more or less.
Fascinating.
Tale as old as time.
Absolutely. And that's basically what the lyrics of this song are describing.
Yeah, it really is Rob Zombie's Weezer's Madam Butterfly.
Yeah, it says the union forever as well. Leave that boy behind, convict of our trades, steal the small ones, carved and homemade, transform children, flesh and living slaves, clowns and jesters are the ones you cannot save. The man who laughs, the man who laughs.
Can I give you an alternate reading, Tim? Because that's what we do here.
Sure.
What if this is a battle for the souls of man between the man who laughs, aka the leader of the clowns, a race of creatures that do coexist with us on our earth, who is converting all of the children, presumably stealing their souls and filling it with a thick viscous goo that turns them into a clown. I don't know how it works. That's how I picture it. And so they're trying to snatch up all the children who sounds like a bad thing, but they're saving them from the man who laughs, who takes flesh and living slaves, and the clown and jesters are the ones you cannot save. Once they've been changed to a clown, they just got to let them go.
Yeah, well, maybe those comprachicos, is that what they're called?
Yeah, I believe so.
Maybe those comprachicos are just trying to purchase those kids so the clowns can't have them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're the good guys. Probably not, but maybe.
Well, then that would make sense because perhaps this comprachico nobly and selflessly carved this boy up so he would resemble a clown and clowns would leave him alone because they would think he was already one of them.
I love it when you jump to the end. Yes, Tim, that is exactly what I believe. I believe that this boy is undercover in the clown community in order to take down the man who laughs. Noble Jackals are banished from England. Pain of death proclaimed King James's mighty hand. Father killed an Iron Maiden or clown prince. Cold and hungry. Tell me, what's your name? I'm not laughing because I'm Gwynplaine.
Gwynplaine.
You know what? That name has grown on me over this week.
Yeah, it's a great name. And then, Garrett, what happens?
A never-ending and somehow, and I'm going to explain how, more insulting drum solo than I've ever heard in my entire life. And may I explain why?
Oh, please.
The drum solo devolves into a drumstick solo. A man ostensibly tapping on a table. Fuck you, Bob. Anyway.
Yeah.
Then we get The Man Who Laughs 6 More Times. Keep in mind, this song is almost 10 minutes long. Then at the very end, the guitars and string return, and we get somewhat of a reprise of the beginning of the song.
Yep. And
then we're
are
out.
done.
Tim, how did it do?
This debuted at number 8 on the Billboard 200. It sold 49,000 copies its first week in the US. It was number 23 in Australia, number 72 in Austria, number 11 in Canada, number 136 in France, number 82 in Germany, number 31 in New Zealand, number 65 in the UK. And Garrett, the satellite phone went dead weeks ago on the last mission to find out what the Dutch thought about an album. I don't even remember what that album was, so I cannot contact the interns still over wherever the Dutch are to have them check on this album as well. I was going to do a twofer, but instead, rest assured, as the second they are back, I will send them right back out on a new mission.
Well, I presume they have died at sea, as most of our interns do once you send them to the Dutch, but Godspeed. What did people think of it?
Well, Garrett, there are 306 total reviews on Amazon, 4.5 out of 5 stars on average, 74% 5-star, 3% 1-star. And these are probably going to be less interesting reviews than the last Robbie Z album we did. I think a lot of people cared about this type of music and, the Devil's influence and such in 98, but did not in 2010. E. Goldstein said it's great in 2013. If you like Rob Zombie, this is for you. Songs about monsters, women, driving fast, and mutilated figures from classic literature. I like it better than The Sinister Urge, and it's up there with Hellbilly Deluxe, 5 out of 5 stars.
Boy, how's that possible? How do you hear this in the original and go, yep, this is definitely superior in every way?
I mean, they're both bad. Mark T. Chambers titled his review, WTF This Album, from September 15th, 2011. I don't understand nonsensical album. Is humor involved? I don't get it. Astro Creep 2000 said so much about the human condition, that's in quotes. Maybe I will eventually understand what Rob Zombie was trying to do with this, ? 3 out of 5 stars.
You will not. I mean, cash in? I don't know.
Yeah. Andrew M. Moya, not at all what I expected. Rob's worst album from 2010. Kind of gives away the game there. I'm very disappointed with this album. All of us who grew up listening to White Zombie and then Rob Zombie, we expect to have that unique zombie sound that will capture that mosh feeling with the kick-ass guitars and evil, dark spin. When I get a new disc and I like it, it stays in my car's CD player for up to 2 months. I expected that to happen with this new Hellbilly Deluxe 2. I took it out after 4 days. I tried to like the album by forcing myself to listen to it 1.5 hours a day. I found myself skipping tracks the first time I put it in my stereo. The tracks have a weak backbeat. The guitar riffs all sound similar. There are 2 songs that sound almost exactly alike. Werewolves and Nazi Germany are the main topics. Complete garbage. I'm going to pretend that this one didn't happen and continue to enjoy the other albums. 1 out of 5 stars.
That person might really enjoy our show.
One more here. This is by Joey Moji from 2013. It's called Robbie equals self-indulgent, overrated D-bag. And I'm not going to scream this review at you, but it is all in caps.
Nice.
Rob Zombie is a douche. He must have sucked off a lot of Hollywood execs to get this crappy album released. I think La Sexorcista and Hellbilly Deluxe are the only decent records he was a part of. Maybe albums that John 5 worked on are okay too, but only because John 5 is a superior guitarist. Just looking at the cover of the album, you realize it is a metaphor for how crappy it is. I mean, his facial expression even looks like he's squeezing out a big dump. Can you say yeah, or maybe give him a yeah? His lyrics, although littered with B-rated horror references, which is cool, but not so cool as to make himself cool, and fill the lyrical spaces with way too many yes. Zombie is a weak lyricist and songwriter, and a weak musician to boot, since he doesn't play an instrument either, and his movies suck as well. What a great artist. Oof. Not. Way overrated. Way over ass-tongued by Alice Cooper. Get the previously mentioned albums and forget about him entirely. He won't be coming up with anything better in the future. Trust me. Here's a request from me to Zomboy. Blow yourself, Robbie, and go skipping away holding hands with Kid Rock. You both should do the world a big favor and disappear forever, because you both are no-talent rock icon wannabes. Neither of you earned rock icon status and never will. You are no Alice Cooper, and Kid Rock is no Johnny Van Zant. Just go away. 1 out of 5 stars. Now, Now, again, all that screamed.
Good Lord. I don't know if all that was about Rob Zombie. That guy is angry, Tim.
Well, it certainly wasn't all about this particular album.
No. He even got into the films and how much he's sucking people off. He's taking huge dumps. That review has it all, Tim.
Yes.
A real emotional roller coaster. I want to be clear. I think that Rob Zombie is more talented than Kid Rock, and I don't know exactly what defines a rock icon.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Fair enough. Who's this for?
Bela Lugosi.
Or Ed Wood, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings us to final thoughts. I frankly have nothing to say about this.
Yeah, I just want to repeat, it's kind of boring. It's real pointless. This could be and should be lots of fun and weird and hollow wicked and whatnot, but it's not. It's just kind of a drag.
Hollow wicked. Yeah, it is kind of a drag. The Werewolf Women of the SS, if you gave me 7-8 more tracks of not that specifically, but that level of ridiculous,
Yeah.
we're back on track.
Werewolf Woman of the SS and Dragulas. That's what we want.
Yeah, all day, every day. All right, Tim, then we've been all the way through it. I got to say, your spirits stayed higher than I expected them to, so I'll ask it. Now that you have really got a chance to consider everything, do you hate this album?
I don't, but I just don't really care enough to actually hate it. I think it's hateable. I met it.
Okay.
What about you, friend? Do you hate this?
No, it's certainly among his less good albums for sure. I cannot believe this is the one we did. I want to strike you. I feel like you knew what you were doing and you pulled one over on me and you're like, oh my God, he's doing it. So this is a huge waste of our time. I'm sure that the listeners agree. hatePodMail@gmail.com. Why, Tim? Listeners write in. But no, I don't hate it. It's fine. I'll never hear this again.
That's fair. We can listen to Werewolf Woman of the SS and watch that Isla werewolf lady of the SS at some point together. You and me, buddy.
No, I'm not going to watch pornography with you.
We'll see.
Again. Okay, I don't hate it. You don't hate it. We both want to forget it. And that's the right reaction. So that brings us to the end of the show where we ask 3 simple things. First, open the Apple Podcast app. Give us the 5 stars. If you're in a rush, you're done. Good job. Way to go. If you get a little extra time, write a review. Make it weird. Make it insulting. Make it inside. And if it's strange enough, funny enough, or shocking enough, we'll read it here on the show. If you've done that, great. Thank you. That's the most important thing you can do for us. If you got something else you want to do, get somebody else to listen. I know it's difficult. I know they're going to be obstinate. They might even hate it a little bit. But if they don't like it, make them listen again and again and again and again until they get it. And they will. They won't for a while, but they will. And then the last thing we ask is write in hatePodMail@gmail.com, or you can go to hatepod.com and click on contact us in the upper left-hand corner. It does ask for an email address, but that's just so we can reply to you. We don't do anything with it. We don't have commercials. We don't bother you with anything. We're just going to reply, say thanks for listening, and then, delete it. You can also get most every episode we've ever done on that website, and it is being updated on the daily, so there'll be even more episodes by the time you hear it. You can also find us we got subreddits, we got a Discord server. I have no idea how to join it, but we do get on there from time to time because, whatever. You can find us there. There's tons of people talking about the show. Like I said, we're on Instagram at HatePod, Twitter's Album HatePod. I'm on Twitter at GHarveyTweets. Tim's on Instagram, but it's a secret. We're also on Facebook, but we lost the password and we don't care anymore, so we're not ever going to log into it again. You're welcome. Tim, did I leave anything out?
Nope.
For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been and will continue to be the funny host, Timothy P. Richardson. And on December 21st, 2013, Garrett P. Harvey said, I'd be very old for a grizzly bear. Then, on January 5th, 2014, Garrett P. Harvey said, that thing could put on a hat and a suit and go into work. No one would even know it's a bear. Then on July 11th, 2014, Garrett P. Harvey said, no one realizes the whole internet runs on bears. Then on October 18th, 2014, Garrett P. Harvey said, I think it's weird that we all walk around pretending bears don't have lips. Then, finally, on March 26th, 2017, Garrett P. Harvey said, I wonder what you would say whilst you were being eaten by a bear. It's on a bear things
Fuck
today.
off. The funny host? I don't care about the bear thing. The funny host?
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear, a full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides, the cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Gary.